So now we are ready to curate and mount the bees that we collected. So there are a few items that you need to lay out before you begin mounting the bees. So one of the most important items is the pin or the pins that you are going to use. So you only want to use number 2 insect pins. They come in a variety of sizes, but number 2 is what we always use for bees. They come in these packs and they come in different directions. So some are facing down, some are facing up. So what I do is sort them all so they are in the same direction and put them in a vial. You will need a mounting block. Now this is one of the higher end mounting blocks that I use. However, these are the mounting blocks that I have the students use. These are relatively inexpensive. And the mounting block or pinning block is used so that you put all of your bees at the same height. When you are mounting, attention to detail is very important, especially if you are going to try to identify the bees. Now I have a cork. And I like this one because it stands really well. Once you have your bee mounted, you can use this cork to look at it under the microscope. Finally, I have 2 types of forceps. A lot of people call these tweezers, but we call them forceps. I have what are called featherweight forceps. They're very light, so you're not going to crush anything that you pick up with these. And then I have these fine forceps. Now these are what I use to spread the wings and straighten out the legs. If you drop these, they will not work anymore. Once they're bent at the tip, they're not very useful. So now we're going to mount the bee. This is a honeybee, a medium-sized bee. And when you first learn how to curate, I recommend you use honeybees. Now I'm going to take a number 2 pin and you are going to pin the bee in the thorax. Now remember, a bee has 3 segments: head, thorax, abdomen. The thorax is the area where the wings attach. Now on the screen here, you can see that there is a center line on the thorax. You want to pin the bee just to the right of that center line. For certain bee species, we use the center line to identify the actual species, so you don't want your pin to go through it. Now here I have a foam pad, has wood underneath. This is what I use for pinning. Some people use different things. If you don't want to purchase the foam pad, you can use just styrofoam that you get in a package. That works as well. I like to put the bee on the edge of the styrofoam. Now it's important that your bee is straight on the pin. So I usually hold the bee between my thumb and forefinger. Now I am going to mount or put the pin through just to the right, and I'm obscuring your view momentarily. Usually I will put the bee on the pin just a little bit up the pin so that I can look at the front of it and make sure it is straight. This one is pretty straight. It's tilted to the side a little, but once you mount it, you don't want to remount it because you will make a large hole in the thorax. So now that I have it pinned, I am going to use the mounting block. Notice that there are holes at different levels. That indicates how far down your pin will go. So see, there are holes on the top of your mounting block, and that is what you use. So I'm going to use the mounting block. I will actually use this deep hole right here, and I'm going to push the pin into it. Now you can see that my bee has been pushed to the top of the pin. But now I'm going to use this hole on the end. I'm going to turn my pin upside down and push it that way. The reason that I do that is that different size bees will go to different areas on the pin, so I want to turn it over to make sure that this area is the same for all of my mounts. And you want to do that also so you have enough room to grasp the pin. After you have pinned your bee, you can always go back under the microscope. You want to make sure that the wings are spread out. Now remember, bees have a forewing and a hind wing. They have 4 wings total. And that's actually what you can use to identify bees as opposed to flies. There are many flies that look like bees, but flies have 2 wings. Bees have 4. We use the veins, the wing venation, to identify bees as well. So you want to make those wings visible for when you go back for identification. You also want the legs to stretch down as much as possible. When a bee goes through a kill jar or is collected from a pan trap, a lot of times the legs fold up under the bee, and you can see that here. So you want to stretch the legs out. Now make sure you do this carefully or you will pull the leg off. Now I generally use the fine forceps, the ones with the point, to position my bee and to spread the wings and make the legs come down. So now we will be looking at bee identification.